Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill today that would bar biological men from playing on public school teams intended for student athletes who are women. Florida is just the latest state to adopt such a ban, which has been passed or is being considered in at least 30 states around the country. The signing comes just days after the International Olympic Committee made headlines by announcing that transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard would be allowed to compete in the upcoming Summer Olympics in Tokyo as a woman. So does the IOC's decision put the future of women's sports in jeopardy? Joining me now, the founder of Outkick and Outkick.com and my future soon-to-be co-host in from 12 to 3 for Premier Networks on hundreds of radio stations across the country for the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Mr. Clay Travis, good to see you.
It's great to be here. I'm excited to get rolling. As you well know, just a little under 3 weeks until we'll officially debut. And you can tell, still relaxed a little bit here. T-shirt, shorts. I'm down in Florida with my family. This is the time of year we got to get away. Sports usually slows down a little bit. I didn't know we'd have this major announcement going on officially. So I'm excited to get underway. But I'm in here in the state of Florida, and I think Ron DeSantis made the right decision. Not surprising. He's made a lot of really good decisions. Probably the best governor right up there, I would say, with Greg Abbott over the past year, dealing with COVID and many other issues as well. And Buck, to me, this is one of the quintessential questions that is out there in the world of sports. And it's wild that we have to say this, but you end up with two different sort of identity victimization politics universes colliding. You've got the question of, are you going to side on Title IX for women, for feminists who believe in the absolute equity and equality of female athletics as opposed to men's athletics? Or are you going to bend the knee to transgender activists? Because if you allow biological men who now identify as women to compete, we've seen these lawsuits being filed, Connecticut, I believe Idaho already, girls in high school. The state of Connecticut, Buck, had 15 different state titles won by a biological man who identified as a woman. And if this weightlifter ends up being able to compete, there's all sorts of discussions inside of the Olympics. With the reason we segregate men and women's sports, the reason why we have two different divisions is because if we just had one division, women would never win anything. And so, this to me questions the very foundation of women's athletics if you allow men who identify as women to compete.
Now, Clay, you follow the actual records and the league, so to speak. I mean, this is an Olympic issue and not a professional league issue, but is there any doubt that Laurel Hubbard would be the best weightlifter of all time on the female side of the ledger if and when Laurel Hubbard competes as a woman? I mean, it seems like a fait accompli. I mean, is that what we're facing here?
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example, Buck. I have no idea what I love sports gambling, right? So I have no idea what the gambling odds for women's weightlifting are. So that would be interesting to see. But I would think that she would be among the favorites. But the stat that I love is a couple of years ago in the state of Texas, there were 300 high school boys who were faster than the fastest woman ever in the history of the 100-yard dash, basically. 300 high school boys. So just in the state of Texas, no woman would win a medal if men are competing against women. That's why we have two different sex divisions in the Olympics. And so I would think this person, Laurel Hubbard, I believe, or whatever the name is officially, they switched at the age of 37, I believe. So yes. We're talking about a fully grown male athlete who then decides to become a woman, and all the benefits, as you well know, of being bigger, stronger, faster on average, all these things that basic athletics show us, already had inured to this weightlifter when she decided to change her gender. And I don't have any problem with consenting adults making decisions that make them happier in their life, but the entire purpose of having male-female divisions is because it's unfair to allow men to compete against women, and it seems to me that we're sort of allowing that to occur here. And it's as if few people, because they're so woke, are willing to actually have this conversation about the importance of continuing to separate men and
that's what I want to ask you about, Clay. For for the woke sports analysts out there, I mean, you're now going to be
Yes.
co-hosting the biggest political talk radio show platform that I think is in existence with yours truly. So we're going to have a great time doing that, but you're also a well-known sports guy, and I'm just wondering, from the sports analysis side, what do woke, look, I haven't watched ESPN in like a decade, so I don't even know what's,
Yeah.
people just tell me it's MSNBC with sports, but what do they say about this? Do they say, well, there's not that big an advantage? I mean, they must know, right? Or how do they explain this?
I think we've got going on here is sports media all know this is ridiculous. They are terrified that they will run afoul of the blue checkmark brigade, as I call it, and end up being ridiculed in some way if they step out and say what I think they all would acknowledge, which is men should compete against men and women should compete against women. It's a sign, I think, of how far left-wing sports has become in general, Buck, that this is considered to be in any way controversial. I mean, to me, it's the very essence of competition that all of us who have ever played Little League sports on up through high school, certainly college and pro, understand innately. Men compete against men and women compete against women.